Welcome to another episode of Ruff Talk VR, a weekly podcast with in-depth game reviews, exclusive developer interviews, and the latest MetaQuest and virtual reality news. We join our hosts, the father-son team of D. Scruffles and Stratus today, as they spend another episode breaking down and discussing the world of virtual reality.
Hey, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR, coming at you with what should theoretically be a quick portion of news, but a long episode. We're going to try to get through the news part as fast as we can when it comes time for it, because we're actually going to do things a little different today. Very rarely do we do double headers, but...
Buenos dias, I should say.
What, you like for those
Buenos
on video?
Dias, anyway.
I got a nice poncho, dude. I bought this thing. I love it. Got to put it to good use. I'm a little chilly today, so...
No, ponchos are cool.
This thing's got a nice little aesthetic.
I have two of the...
I like this thing.
Two of the hippie ones with the big pouch and the...
Yeah, good old poncho will save you on a chilly day.
Man.
Sometimes it's a little brisk. But double
header one, dude.
Double header today. As you know, you've probably heard now. I mean, geez, we've been plugging it every week. We have our Ruff Talk VR gaming showcase next month, Friday, April 4th, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, live on YouTube. But there's also another huge showcase coming out tomorrow. The VR game showcase hosted by our friends, Jamie and Zena. Great people all around. And
they're going to crush it, dude.
oh my goodness. They've been teasing some stuff
They
that's
got some
coming
good
out.
stuff coming.
Yeah. So we had to get Jamie on to talk about their showcase a bit, and also just a little bit about his background. As
You get to learn some stuff.
Yeah. Learn a little bit about his. And if somehow you've missed the news of their showcase as well tomorrow,
Well,
you get to hear a little bit about that. So stay tuned as we get to know Jamie Feltham from the VR game showcase. And probably you've heard him from Upload VR. And if you're a content creator, you might have even worked with him a bit with Fast Travel Games at times. The man's got a credentialed background. So
he's got a great accent.
British
like that
accents
just-
are made for voice acting.
Grew up in well, it depends on where you grew up.
I want a good
there's-
Cockney accent.
Yeah, that's not exactly the most sexy. You know? Like
And-
James Bond will never sound like a Beatle.
Anyway, though, stay tuned. You know, that we'll start with this part of the show as the interview segment with Jamie, and then we'll go into the news after that. So hope you enjoy this interview, and stay tuned for the news in just a moment. Hey, welcome to this episode of Ruff Talk VR. Today we're joined one that I am so excited for.
Yeah,
We're
an awesome human being, man.
Yeah, well, that's one aspect of, I mean, we're big fans of showcases, gaming showcases. That's why we started to do our own. So there's a very big one coming out tomorrow, and we're joined today with Jamie Feltham to talk about that. But as you said, also just a great overall human being. We had a great time.
I'll go with awesome human being showcase second.
You know what? That's a good order. So
even though the showcase is taking precedence right now.
Yeah, so we definitely have him on to talk a bit about his showcase, but you know, I think we would have Jamie on anyway,
Regardless,
just to catch up. So, Jamie, before we get into it, do you mind to do a quick little introduction of yourself in case our listeners don't know who you are or your background or you know what you've done in VR?
Yeah, of course. I mean, first of all, it's a trio of awesome people here. It's great to see you guys as well. We haven't hung out in a while, and it's great to just catch up and shoot the breeze and all that. But yeah, I'm Jamie. I have been working in the VR industry since about 2013. Most of that time was kind of as a journalist. Helped start a site called VR Focus. Then went on to do quite a long stint with my friends at Upload VR. I was there from about 2016 through to 21, 22, something like that. Spent a little time at HTC Vive, went on to work at Fast Travel Games, where I technically have been on this podcast before, because I kind of did the whole PR in the background thing when you interviewed Eric for Mannequin a couple of years ago, I think. And yeah, then about halfway through last year, maybe this time last year, actually, at Upload, we had started the Upload VR Showcase in 2019. That was an initiative me and my partner Zena, who's a part of this company, started, and we worked on for several years. And around this time last year, there was just some talking between studios about potentially starting up a new kind of showcase thing. And you know, I caught wind of it and just said, like, if you guys trust me, I would love to kind of like really, really spearhead this project. And so that's what we did for the first time in August last year, just ahead of the Home of XR event at Gamescom, was that we held the first VR game showcase. And we're back This week, yeah, tomorrow. Technically, we're speaking on Sunday, but this is going live on Monday. So tomorrow, technically, sorry, I'm revealing your trade secrets.
Most of our listeners know.
Yeah,
It's
they
a
know.
nice
Okay.
little
They've
fun
heard
fact.
We're back 9 a.m. PT, but as I've just learned, the daylight savings time changes have happened in America. So I have been saying 9 a.m. PT, 5 p.m. UK, but it's actually 4 p.m. UK. So that's an exclusive scoop for your listeners that I got the time wrong, and you've heard
The
real
old
time,
the old daylight savings time strikes again. One day we'll get rid of it, I hope. And until then, it'll cause us constant headaches.
And getting rid of it doesn't mean worldwide getting rid of it. It's country to country.
And then where do you stop? Do you stop how it is now or how it was yesterday? You know,
That's
like the final.
That's the $1 million question. Do you bring your kids to school in the dark, or do you?
Yep.
Or do you get later light?
It's an onion of a conversation, unfortunately.
I would get rid of the October one very, very happily. The one where the day just ends faster.
I agree. How it is now,
100%.
longer days, I'm sold. It sucks when they change it back, but then when it's not 5 p.m. and it's dark,
I was in
great.
Jamaica when daylight savings came, and they don't recognize it. So it made things even screwier because now I'm like on the 1 hour difference on the island versus when I know I go home, I'm getting screwed like technically 2 hours. It just sucks.
That's a trip.
Anywho.
So going back quick to the VR focus side, did you have a background in journalism, or did you just like a lot of VR content creators? You discover VR and you go, by any means necessary, I'm getting in there.
Yeah, no, I grew up wanting to have a career in games journalism, and I was doing journalism at university back in the day. I was doing some freelance for like local UK magazines and some of the national games magazines and stuff like that. Didn't manage to do a internship at IGN like back in 2011, long time ago now. And then I was working at the time at a smartphone magazine, like reviewing smartphones and stuff like that. Just a really, really small magazine. And the thing about VR Focus was it was actually a kind of publication started by Endreams. And they were just starting to get into the VR sector. They'd done a couple of those tech demo kind of things with their very first version of the Oculus Rift. And they were thinking that VR was going to be this big thing, and they wanted to do what they could to kind of like push it forward. And one of the ideas they had was, why don't we try starting a website that does, kind of news coverage on that kind of stuff. So, I saw the job listing for that and was like, oh, that's a way into games journalism. That could be interesting. I've heard, back then, like the Rift was kind of an interesting story to everyone. I think John Carmack had already done the demos. He'd done it like E3 and stuff like that. And like journalists had started to pick up on it and think, oh, there might actually be something to this. And so I hadn't tried it at all, but I'd done a bit of research on it, and I went and talked to them, and it seemed really, really cool. And I tried the Rift DK1 for the first time and was like, okay, this could not just be a way into gaming. This could be a real thing that I'm really, really passionate about, which is entirely what it's grown into over the years.
That's a great story. So I imagine as a young lad, you were probably big into Nintendo Power, Game Informer,
these kinds of things. Yeah,
Game Informer, G4 TV, all that stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of UK. I think like a lot of the magazines that are still out in the US are actually like kind of produced in the UK. Like, do you get Edge magazine over there or anything like that?
I feel like magazines are. I don't know. The last time I picked up a magazine. Unfortunately.
I think it was an Auto Trader, the last like car magazine of.
We were even talking even just the other day of how much I used to love getting the Game Informer magazines and Nintendo magazines as a kid. It was like a nice little treat. You got.
I liked my Atari one, which would be like the back of the magazine would always have all the code you could write and spend like 8 hours to make a gunshot or like a cry sound. Or
so during your time at Upload, am I correct to say you kind of became the showcase person over there as well too?
Yeah, so that's really interesting. That started in 2019, and that was kind of like Rift was out, the Vive was out. I think like maybe the Index had started to be teased or something like that at that point. Maybe not actually. And obviously PSVR 1 was out. And Meta hadn't done one of its gaming showcases before. PlayStation would announce a few games here and there in their showcases, and Jeff Keighley might have like a couple of games in, you know, whatever he was doing, Game Awards or whatever he did over the summer and stuff like that. And I was just kind of, you know, I grew up very much as a fan of those kind of E3 conferences and like really loving that time of year when, you know, great new games would get announced. And it was really, really exciting to kind of be online and watch an Xbox conference, then a PlayStation conference, and they'd announce like God of War and stuff like that. And it would be really, really exciting. And I was kind of sitting around thinking, no one's doing this for, no one's really doing this as a dedicated VR show yet. And I know like the PC Gamer show had started on kind of its own initiative back in like 2015 or something like that. And I just thought, well, you know, like YouTube premieres are like a thing now, or like you can just make a show, then upload it and treat it as a live show. So you don't have to go through the whole technicality of having something incredibly live to produce. We could shoot something kind of all right looking in our living room. And I could work with, you know, like hopefully a couple of developers might be interested in doing this. And Fast Travel was one of the first people I spoke to, and they were just like on board straight away. Vertigo was on board very, very quickly with the idea. And that first show just ended up being like a really, really crazy lineup. And because it was back in the days before COVID and back before everyone realized they could just make a showcase, it didn't have to be this big like on stage production done by Sony or something like that. But we were like one of 5 shows that E3. It was like PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, the PC Gamer show, and then us. So the show was actually huge that year, which was really, really surprising and really, really, really good start for it. And then the interesting thing was then COVID hit, right? So we had these plans to take it even bigger, and then like there was an upside and a downside of COVID. Of it became easier to produce stuff at home because more tools are being released, more people were working from home and understanding the kind of environment you were working with. But development deadlines got pushed, games got pushed, and stuff like that. And that, I think, kickstarted a much harder time for those shows in general, especially because so many of them started to become more proliferated online, essentially. But yeah, we carried it on until me and Zena did it until 2022, and just had a great time doing those shows. Really, really enjoyed them.
So many showcases under the belt for experience at this point.
Yeah.
So you leave you leave Upload. You start working actually directly with studios, like Fast Travel Games. That's funny. Actually, I forgot that you were a spectator in that interview as well too. So
also, I think we did a game session of Mannequin.
Yeah, we did.
Part of that. Yeah, Henry was there. You were there.
Mannequin, damn good game.
Mannequin's good, man.
Yeah, that was free to play. Very solid game for Fast Travel Games.
Playthrough of the game too. So,
but even at that time, were you missing doing the journalism side, the gaming showcase side? Because I noticed even on your social media page, while you're primarily a gaming showcase, you're kind of like becoming a hub of news throughout the off season as well too.
Yeah, it's interesting. I always felt like as we got further into the showcase stuff, which started to become quite a big part of what we did at Upload, you have to maintain good relationships with people while you do those kinds of showcases, right? Because you're working with them essentially on really good marketing beats, and they need to trust that you're going to do the game right and everything like that. And it kind of ends up conflicting a little bit with your kind of journalistic process or standards and stuff like that, right? Like you're kind of giving studios a bit more leverage in terms of saying, well, we don't really want to go with you because you might say something bad about our game later on or something like that. So I really started to become a bit more conflicted with it as time went on. And I was just, even without the showcase, I was just starting to become much more friendly with studios, having, like worked with them, having working relationships with them for 7-8 years. At that point, I mean, Andreas from Fast Travel was becoming like a really good friend of mine. And it was just getting harder and harder to keep the journalism side, like feeling like I had the integrity that you need for that kind of position. And I did miss it. And I did miss, being critical and that kind of stuff. But I just knew I wasn't going to be able to keep doing it for much longer. in a fair and balanced way to the audience. So to me, it was like, I'm going to miss Upload and I'm going to miss journalism a heck of a lot, but it is time for me to move on. Like I can't stay here, and I believe that I would be doing fair reporting over the next 2 or 3 years as the showcase grew and stuff like that. So when it came back to doing this show and what we do kind of with the Twitter accounts and stuff like the X accounts, Twitter accounts. Can't believe I just corrected myself on that. It's very much like we want to be like a news aggregator and a news hub, and we want to be a good destination for reading the headlines and stuff like that. But I think it's still important that we do take a step back from the more critical side of things, from doing, hands-on previews or reviews and stuff like that, because that's not where we want our relationship with our partners and our development partners and publisher partners to be. We want to be championing these products without, the kind of drawbacks. Curation is really, really important for us. So if you're seeing something on the screen, it's kind of already gone through like our internal criticisms of saying, yes, we think this is worthy of being in a showcase that's focused on core gamers. But then after that, we don't want there to be those kind of conflicts of interest in our relationships with our partners, basically. So yeah, I miss it. But I was kind of reaching the logistical end of it. And I think where we are now is a far more comfortable position for me personally. Like even just in terms of like having general relationships with people in the industry, I feel far more comfortable than I ever really did as a journalist, where you knew people were kind of watching what they said around you because they didn't want to break any like embargoes or anything like that. It's nice to come at it from a bit more of a face-to-face perspective in that sense, especially, having worked at HTC Vive and gone like into the real nitty-gritty of the realities of the industry and development and stuff like that. It's been really nice to approach it from that angle.
Yeah, the title journalist and open conversation with people can be, I would assume, very challenging. I know if someone told me they're a journalist, I'm going to cut back at least 40%, because there's no such thing as off the record.
Exactly.
There's no such thing as you didn't hear it from me. It's like, I'm a journalist. It's like, you got to report what you hear, it's got to feel a little more comfortable now, not having to focus so much on.
Yeah. And I mean, journalism is something I still like absolutely adore and have like a real admiration and respect for. And like, if I'm like listening to podcasts and stuff, it's usually on like reporters that have done really, really great work in different fields. Or I'm a huge fan of Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg and the reporting he does. But it's a really tough commitment as a human being to just have that kind of skew on basically everyone you speak to at work, basically, and keep the balance of, you might be friendly with some developers, but you might criticize them. You might, like, your job might call for you to criticize them in certain ways, and that can upset relationships in unforeseen ways and stuff like that. And I think people at Upload, like that are still there, like Henry, Ian, David Heaney, they were always much better at that stuff than I was. Ian is a really committed journalist in that sense. And he comes from a really proper journalism background. And I was always like seeking his advice on, those kinds of boundaries and stuff like that. But yeah, it just got the point for me where I was like, I want to break away from this and start having a bit more of a comfortable life in that sense. No,
I get
that. In the end, you got to sleep good at night. Like you got to wake up happy, and
you kind of want to have real. I mean, you mentioned the relationships. That's a side that I didn't think
would exist.
Doing this, that like we'd have any. Like, hey, it's just us, right?
Yeah.
But then when you meet everyone and you're like, holy shit, there's real, genuine connections.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have a genuine connection than someone who's like, well, they know deep down inside they got to watch what they say around.
Yeah.
No.
I don't even consider us journalists. I consider us, podcasters.
Yeah.
And even that bond and relationship forms with studios on our end. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you a lot of props, because for a lot of people, it's easy for them to, ignore the little thought in the back of their head and just continue riding down. Like, all right, the journalism side's going good. maybe what I'm doing might not be ethical, but I'm kind of doing what I wanted since I was a kid. So whatever, I'll keep up with it. No, you kind of put that away and said, no, I need to do what's proper for my role currently in the industry. So I'll give you a lot of props there.
Oh, thank you.
Well, as a consumer, I'm happier to see. I'm happy to see Jamie and friends do the showcases.
Yeah,
yeah.
No doubt. I think that moves the industry forward in different ways. Like Upload and the journalism side is very established. They'll always carry on.
Upload's a shit.
Yeah, but my go-to for VR news. Now you're kind of able to help amplify in a different way that you're much more comfortable with as well too. So I think it's a win-win. How did this idea for this showcase come to be, though? Because I know you had said you guys were working together.
Yeah.
Then you're at Fast Travel. You leave Fast Travel. I'm sure there's some uncertainty of what's next. You know? Like, how did this all formulate into a reality?
Yeah, I think I think it's pretty easy to be quite open about how this stuff happened at this point. Like, obviously last year you guys were at the Home of XR exhibition in Gamescom, and that was a confluence or whatever you call it or conference, I guess I should say, of like 10 studios or something like that. And some of those studios were starting those talks about what to do for Gamescom probably in like November 23. And as part of Fast Travel, I was part of those conversations at the start, really. And it kind of started at what could we do potentially on the physical event side throughout the year? If we're all getting together for some sort of physical event, could there be a showcase on the side of it? And we met, fairly on and off for a couple of months talking about different possibilities. And the showcase side, I'd always been kind of quiet on because I had just started at Fast Travel, and I was like, whoa, you just got a job, chill out, and don't make any bold leaps. But as they started to talk a bit more about like what directions they could go in for the showcase, it just became harder and harder for me to just kind of sit there and be like, I'll let someone else do this. Like it was more like I was like itching, to just put my hand up and say, whoa, like I've got all this experience. What if I just do it and I bring Xena on board and we get to work on it. So that's what happened. I kind of did some calls with each of the partners and said, look, if we did this, would you like have the trust in us doing it instead of going to like some huge video production studio where you all kind of have to like weigh in on what they do over a series of months? More like I'm just like kind of a conduit. We work through what each of your trailers is and your announcements are, and we make something like really polished that you all have like very clear, transparent access to throughout the whole process, so that you know that like you can be confident that it's going the way you want it to go. And that kind of like it was like one of the like most honorable moments of my career. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but like that they all did show that trust basically. And it was humbling, I should say, I guess. I felt very, very humbled that basically every partner was like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. We'd love to back you doing this. And so I just kind of had to take a leap and say, look, Fast Travel guys, obviously, in terms of doing this fairly, I can't be a full-time employee with you guys because you're going to have games in the show, and I need our other partners to trust that I'm giving the curation of the show 100% balance and stuff like that as well. So I took a leap and kind of went full-time by myself at the start. Xena was still at HTC, and we talked about her maybe coming on board a little later on. But it ended up being that like the pace things were going, we decided it would be better for her to leave HTC and move on board sooner rather than later. And that first show, I think, was just a really, really great moment for all of VR last year, like in terms of what we had at the digital event, and then a couple of days later leading into Home of XR, where people were showing things like, Metro, Ghost of War, Action Hero, Mannequin, like the great stuff from the Cyborg guys, Walkabout Wonders and everything like that. It was really nice, wasn't it? I think everyone being under that one roof for that week and making a real hub of VR, I think.
That was hands down one of the most amazing events I've ever been to.
So like there's multiple layers to it. Like selfishly for the experiential side on our end, like, yeah, it was a great time to be there in Germany trying the games hands on, and what is so often the best part of these events, you know, seeing everyone in person. But from the reality of the marketing side too, I mean, when it was time for each one of these games to come to release or start to be talked about in the news cycle or by creators, it was like so many people already knew how great of a game it was that was going to cover it and such. So it expedited the coverage for a lot of these games, in my opinion. I tried Walltown Wonders at Gamescom. I was like, that's sold. Like that's a day one buy for me. And I don't think that was the only creator or podcaster or news outlet that had that same outlook. So there's such a initial hype boost that you can get from being at one of those events as a developer. So on the selfish side, for me, it was amazing. But I could also see it was so much value for the developers that were there as well too.
When I looked at it as the consumer side, kind of like you were saying, like, holy crap, we're in Germany, we're at this event. Largest freaking event in the world as far as I'm concerned. But I was also appreciating the production and operational side of what it took to choreograph that booth with the creators and the schedules that I'm under the impression you were responsible for in some capacity.
I myself and Zena kind of handled a lot of the influencer and press scheduling and stuff. I mean, it was Maeva from Beyond Frames that really
was a beast.
Yeah, like she really like rallied the troops in terms of getting the developers in, setting up that booth, the booth design, everything like that. She did like an absolutely outstanding job. I don't want to play my part down. The scheduling of, I think we calculated it with maybe it was like 600 slots or something like that, and like 20 different influencers, handful of press and stuff like that as well. I thought when we signed on, I thought, oh yeah, it'll take me like a couple of days to get everyone like a slot and make sure they're all happy, and then it'll be good. But as we kept adding partners, kept adding in new people to come to the booth, it became like it took me probably about 2 months of like just working in a spreadsheet to work out who was going to see what game when, and then someone else would come in and say, actually, we can't make that time anymore, and I'd have to throw the whole thing out the window and start over basically.
No, it was perfect.
Smooth.
It was smooth. Now this is the thing.
Well, you
like,
come from a background in event management. So you see it from
concerts, conventions, meetings,
Disney on Ice.
Disney, name an event. I probably event managed it. So I appreciate when I know for a fact things don't run smooth, right? That's just life. You have an event, it's going to be multitude of things that are going to fail, hiccups. But when you don't see it on the receiving end, and it's being handled, maintained in a manner that doesn't cause it. I mean, y'all crushed it, dude. There was no hiccups. Our schedule looked like there was actual thought into it. It wasn't just like, well, 2:15, put those guys in there. It was like there was an actual flow. There was, there was one day it was very aggressive, but it still flowed. It's like you had your, so I really, you deserve a lot of credit for pulling that off. And you're right. Maeva's just a beast.
Yeah.
That to pull off that event. And in my head, I just see it growing year after year after year until eventually that whole bottom floor is just.
I think of an app like the new Salsa Academy that was there.
That was
that I never probably would have touched if not for being there. And I can confidently say, like, that's a
Bootstrap Island.
Good. Bootstrap Island, damn good game as well.
What do you think I did when I got home?
Play Bootstrap Island?
Hell yeah. Well, when I asked
a little bit harder than the tech demo that was there.
I asked, is this ever going to run on the Quest? And they were like, no. And I'm like, all right, I'm going home playing this on PC.
No reason to wait for the standalone. That's awesome.
No, that was just fantastic. And not to mention the actual showcase.
So it sounds like, is this now both of your full-time gigs?
Yeah, it is. We are aiming to do like at least 2 a year, and we'll have a bit of an announcement on when the next one is coming. Although, if you're doing 2 a year, you can probably figure out when the next one will be in the show, which is cool. If we do anything else around that, we don't quite know yet. But that's like the core of it for right now, as we see this spring show and this later show being super, super important to us and the industry, basically.
I'm excited to watch the show.
Yeah. I have some questions on that for what you're able to say now, but just real quick, would you say that this is kind of your perfect balance now? Like, could you see yourself being in this showcase position kind of indefinitely?
Yeah. I would like it to go that way for sure. I think removing that kind of like struggle that I was talking about at Upload from that balance has been really, really important for us. And I think I think we just gained a lot of trust with that first show. And I think it takes a lot of commitment for people to see your vision. Especially when there's nothing to actually show for what you've done yet, and you're just phoning up people and saying, hey, like, do you want to announce something big with us? We're going to do this thing that doesn't actually have even a YouTube channel, let alone a YouTube video on it yet. It's tough. And I think a lot of people showed trust, and the way it came out meant that there's even more trust this time around. And I'm hoping that the way this one goes means there's even more trust for next time, and it just keeps building and building in that sense, essentially. So I would hope that this is what we get to do for many years to come, essentially.
Well, you're good at it. You know what I'm saying? It's it's not just, you're not slapping together stuff. Just, I'm going to assume without asking.
Audio levels are good. Everything works.
Yeah,
there,
man. I mean, but it's all, come on, let's be honest. We know more than anyone that day of going live with your premiere is.
Yeah. I think I had sweat from my elbow to my hip.
You were pacing.
I was like drinking coffee. I was like, I'm not feeling it. You're like, dude, you would need hard drugs right now to feel anything.
Oh yeah, like the adrenaline,
heroin.
You could have broken a bone, and a bone could have been sticking out. We both probably wouldn't have felt nothing.
You just think of the 1,000 things that could go wrong. A copyright claim on a music that was missed on the initial YouTube detection, or just a technical glitch, or I think we exported and watched our first showcase like 20 times, and
multiple different platforms.
Occasionally there'd be a frame error for a second. You're like, why did that one? Let me re-export the whole damn thing and watch the whole hour again. So
there's a lot that goes.
This has been the past week of my life right now. Like Zena's upstairs exporting it for maybe the 5th or 6th time just today, I think. And it is like, Zena's such a perfectionist on this stuff. We notice stuff every run through where we're like, oh, that could be like a little tighter there, that could be a little louder there. The audio tracks are so important, and something that when we first started the show, we didn't realize quite how tricky they were going to be. The first show is funny if you go back and watch, because back in 2019, it's like pretty good all the way throughout the show, and then we announced Pistol Whip right at the end of the show, and it has that kind of big, booming, overwhelming soundtrack. So everyone, if you watch YouTube streamers, they all just have their headphones on, and then Pistol Whip comes on and goes, "Blah," and people just take their headphones off and stuff like that. So that was a really good learning experience in that sense. But they take, you guys know, they take so much work. This has been 6 months just planning for this one. 20-ish different partners, just over 20 games, trying to organize all of that, not into just, hey, drop off your trailer at this point, but getting all key art and assets on board, having kind of montage segments where someone's not necessarily making a trailer, but we're going to do some VO explaining what their announcement is and stuff like that. It's a whole mess of stuff. And then you got to market it. And then you got to, do a million other things to make sure that people actually watch it and stuff like that as well. You guys have that experience as well. It's annihilating stress-wise and everything like that. But it's worth it, right? I think.
Yeah, no doubt. When it's all said and done,
it's the best stress I'd ever ask for, to be honest with you, because it's exciting and the adrenaline, the rush. A trailer comes in and you see it. It's just
pretty fucking good.
Yeah, man. You get excited. Probably the only biggest downside I'd say is that, you lose the ability to say yes to everyone, and that hurts a little.
Yeah.
It's of nobody's fault. It's just the way, life is. But no, you guys, you both put on a great freaking production.
I love that you and Xena do it together. That's such a good little aspect to it as well. And you all
be together, work together.
Yeah.
She deserves equally as much credit for Gamescom as well.
Yeah. And I'm sure for the showcase in general as well.
This is something I need to be doing better and at overall in general, because obviously like Z presented the indies show that we did like late last year, and she did an incredible job at that. Doesn't necessarily maybe want to be on the camera for this, but which is fine. I get it. We might talk in the future about how to balance something like that as well. But I can't stress this enough. Everything you see in terms of motion graphics, editing, sound, production in the studio when we're doing our piece cameras and stuff like that, that is all Xena. It is not some giant crew of 10 people, or 10, 15 people, which it looks like it's done by. I truly believe that it looks like it's done by that. And, she's a perfectionist. She obsesses about making this look as good as it can. And so much of our success and trust comes from that at the end of the day. So she's equally, if not more important in all of this than my part in it. I feel she does an incredible job. She probably heard all of that, but
when I knew that we were going to be talking, I was like, "Is she going to be on?" You're like, "I don't think so."
Probably. I was probably neck deep in exporting and all of that stuff.
But a great human being,
very symbolic,
and a passion for the.
Well, I was going to say it's very symbolic of the VR industry as a whole. There might not be that giant, Hollywood production for a Nintendo Direct or anything like that. There's not going to be 10 producers and all this heavy equipment, but it's going to end up just as good, just because you two have so many years of experience doing this specifically for VR, and as you said, the passion on it as well.
Shows.
I don't want to spoil anything for tomorrow, because tomorrow's going to be a big day with the showcase. I have seen you dropping some hints on social media as well too, so in case any of our listeners don't follow the VR showcase on social media, which I highly recommend, because again, you guys are doing a good job as kind of a central hub of news. You want to hype up a little bit of maybe some of the things that are going to be on?
Yeah.
That you've already talked about. We don't need any.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think one of the nice things is we have announced quite a lot of what is going to be there, and it's quite nice to see people kind of going down the list of what will be there and saying this looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Some of the stuff that I'm really, really, really excited for is coming right at the start of the show. Hitman will be early in the show. We'll have something from Triangle Factory early in the show that's really, really, really cool. And it's really nice because, like I said earlier, curation is a huge part of what we do. We always want to make sure that we're kind of representing the best of the best, whether it's at a AAA scale or whether we're going out to kind of more indie studios and trying to look for much more unique, visually striking things as well. And I think you'll see a really good balance of all of that stuff this time. I know last time some people were like, "Oh, I wish there weren't so many shooters," or I wish we could have seen a couple more indie projects and stuff like that. We've kind of listened to that and gone back and found some really, really great, unique gems in the indie space. I think we've announced that we're going to have, Wind Up Minds with Stay Forever Home. That's something I think is a really, really interesting project. I've spoken to Bernie from that studio, who used to work on BOGO at Meta over the years before that was taken down. And he's just really passionate about this project that's doing some pretty sophisticated stuff in terms of AI to make a virtual pet experience that isn't just that kind of cute, dress up your animal, maybe make it play fetch, and then you're done for the next couple of days. That's a very evolving system that they're pouring into that game. So highlighting stuff like that is really, really great. And I think we're doing a much better job of that stuff this time around. But there's some big hype stuff for the core gamer crowd and the kind of where I more sit with gaming and stuff as well. I mean, we've announced that Flat to VR are going to be there. They're going to have a RoboQuest trailer, which is really, really great. And then they've got some new announcements under the hood as well that are cooking right now. And there's going to be some cool stuff in terms of, I can play that right now. There's going to be some cool stuff in terms of, I can play it later in the year, maybe in 26 as well. And there's some stuff that we haven't announced that I think is going to be like a really, really pleasant surprise for people as well. So it's lasting about 35 minutes at the moment, the show, and I would say it's kind of wall-to-wall banger, which I'm very happy about. Yeah.
Okay.
That's exciting.
Sounds like you got something for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What a good problem to have too when people go, too many big studios, we need more indies. That's a good problem.
Yeah, no, I like that someone would even say that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's it, representative of the VR community. VR,
yeah,
that's like the hardcores. They love those smaller studios. Sometimes those are the best experiences as well too. I have a lot of philosophies on showcases. I've seen some where, like, back in the day, I used to think like you could have an infinite showcase, like there is no limit. But after about 45 minutes, I feel like you start to hit a little bit of a wall of attention span. I feel like that.
Well, and you're also trying to push in a level of excitement and engagement to like want to be there. And if you keep, there's a reason why like best of songs are played on encores. It's like because you blow everything at the start. It's like, what do you got left? We're following a top rate comedian. It's like you're screwed.
So you can do stuff with pre-shows, post-shows, but for that core main show, good, like you said, 35, 45 minutes, that's
a good
number. That's the punch.
Yeah.
Wall to wall, nonstop.
Yeah, and I one of the things I really love that we do as well is that we do encourage our partners not just to do trailers. Like, trailers are obviously great, and we've got loads of them in the show, and they're all really, really well done, really, really well made. But like, I also want to look for the opportunities where some of the great things from E3's past weren't like trailers. They were like, 5-minute gameplay demos of like an Uncharted game or something like that got people really, really excited. We don't quite have something like that in this show right now, but like, we're always talking about like, hey, do you want to do like a developer deep dive where you do 2 minutes of gameplay and talk through the mechanics rather than, just like do a very high production trailer? Or maybe you're announcing your next game, but it's not quite ready to show gameplays, but like we know that just announcing the title and showing some like early footage or something like that would be really, really significant to both the core VR audience and your specific fan base as well. So we've got a little bit of that stuff in there as well. And we're always, one of the things I always say to our partners is we don't just see it as, hey, just drop off your asset and thank you. We'll catch up with you next time around. We want to work with people like as soon as they're on board to say, okay, what is your game? Where are you at the stages of marketing the game? Is this going to be an announcement? Is it going to be like the third or fourth time we've seen it? Is it nearing release? And what else do we have in the show? And work backwards from there to kind of make sense of what's best for them, so that it can be, you don't need to make like the third trailer for your game. You can do like 5 minutes of gameplay with us and show something a bit different. And I think that's really cool and important in terms of creating a pretty varied show that stays engaging for that amount of time as well, I think.
Mm-hmm. I remember last year for ours, there's a game ExoShock that's actually now going to be shown off at GDC with some demos.
ExoShock's coming to VRGS, which is cool. We've got a new trailer for that. But yeah. I noticed it from your slot last year at the end. I was like, this looks so good. And you nailed it in terms of giving it that.
Just dump 7 minutes of gameplay. Like, why not? And to be honest with you, it probably was one of the most well-received parts of the showcase as well. People were going hype for it.
Well, it's nostalgic too, with the fact that not everyone does that anymore. I just wish it was to the point where you could have the stage and you could have the props come out, like the Halo days, someone going to come out in full costume and announce the latest game coming out. No, I mean, dude, there's no reason it won't ever get to that point. I'm just wishing ahead.
That's farther. The old G4 TV element that comes back into play. But no, I'm so excited for your showcase.
I'll be watching.
For as a fellow showcaser, I know how much hard work it is, but you've done such a good job rallying up support. It's going to be co-streamed by IGN. Is that right?
IGN, GameSpot for the first time, which is really, really cool, and the Future Game Show. Those are the kind of official co-stream partners we have this time around. Obviously, anyone is welcome to co-stream as well. And you should see a lot of kind of influencer partners doing some, wrap-up content thoughts on what we revealed, hopefully pretty much straight after the show as well.
Hell yeah. So you've done a great job rallying up, support for this, and just, all these co-stream partners can be huge for the industry. So as a fan of VR, I guess thank you for all you do on that front. Before we let Jamie get out of here and wrap up his showcase with
get back to work.
Yeah. Anything else you want to ask that we didn't?
Nah, man.
touch
We
on?
got to touch base again, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a few months.
Hey, testament to
sure.
where the industry's at, that 1 month apart, and I think both of us are pretty stacked top to bottom with games.
Exactly.
So sometimes there's doom and gloom going around with the negative news,
the
but
sky
there's
is not falling.
clearly
No.
a hell of
There's
a ton of stuff on the works. So no doubt. So Jamie, thanks a bunch for joining us today. I'm so
Thank you guys,
excited to tune in tomorrow for the showcase and see what's in store. I think it's going to be a damn good show. So get some rest. Try to sleep. I know how tough the 24 hours before and 48 hours
That's not
before.
happening. No.
And to our listeners, make sure to tune in to the VR game showcase tomorrow. And we're back. Hope you enjoyed that quick
that
catch
was
up.
fun.
Yeah, we meant to do like 30 minutes. I think we ended up doing like 40, 45.
We did say 30 at the start. But
Well,
what are you going to do? Could have gone easily an hour.
it says something. If we didn't go in with that mindset of 30, we probably would have done like an hour and a half, and then there would be no news. So we did our best. Now we'll head to the news, but usually we do our Patreon shout out halfway through the news, but
We're halfway.
we're kind of halfway through the episode. So
We'll make it that way.
we'll make do. So as always, huge shout out to all of our Patreon members on our on-air shout out tier. We have Asim, Amelia, Carson, Earth Witness, Aspire Mike, Jake, Crispy, and Shoes. Thank you all for your continued support month after month, and you can join that esteemed list of Patreon supporters by visiting the link in our show notes and visiting the Patreon link there, where you get a handful of cool listener benefits like on-air shoutouts, and also access to an exclusive Patreon-only chat room in our publicly available Discord server that you can join by visiting the link in our show notes as well. And, if you've been enjoying the show, since I'm doing this all now anyway, subscribe, rate us 5 stars, smash that like button on YouTube, comment. The algorithm loves it. Tell me your opinions on my nice little poncho here as well.
You got a comment last week on it.
Yeah, I mean, dude, It's a damn good poncho. What can I say? I got the rest.
Keep you cozy.
Yeah, like I said, brisk day. So
if this was TikTok, you would at this point be like, and make sure to check out my TikTok store. Every creator is pushing like TikTok store items. So
and stay tuned for Jamie's showcase tomorrow, and then our showcase a month
I'm
later.
excited, dude.
Technically, we're accepting trailers until March 21st. But geez, if you're planning to participate, let me know now, because I think we're starting to hit that maximum overload. We still have some sponsorship spots as well too.
It's funny when we discuss just some behind the scenes, like cutoff points.
We might be hitting that point. I'm still open
man.
to, if you're interested in participating, fill out our application form. That's also available in our show notes. Like I said, we still have some sponsorship spots as well too, but 2 full showcases 1 month apart. There's a lot of stuff cooking in the VR industry. That's for sure. So to kick off this week though, I mean, we got to go right into it. Walkabout. We had an interview with them last week to talk about the course, but we hinted at our thoughts, and I think it should be a no-brainer. Every single Walkabout Mini Golf DLC course we've seemed to have loved, but last week did see the official launch of their newest course, Mount Olympus, which we've been playing quite a bit, honestly, on repeat. Some of the most we've done with one of the new DLC courses.
I'll say this: when we did the expand mode, the first words that came out were like, "This is stunning."
By expand mode, you mean like go to the big head mode where you see the whole
I always
course?
want to see the whole deal.
I love big head mode.
The attention to detail you really get to see they put into these in that mode is just insane.
Beautiful course.
Dude.
Great putter too.
Stunning.
I've been sticking with that putter. Usually I go back to my Labyrinth putter.
I'm Labyrinth, bro.
I've been using this Mount Olympus putter. It's a great putter.
You seen some of the shit Mighty Coconuts posted with the Labyrinth stuff?
What do you mean?
Like there was a giveaway for some Labyrinth.
Oh, Oh,
like
shit.
real
I
labyrinths.
highly recommend, if you are not, following them on social media, but also join their Discord. They do a bunch of great community stuff inside their Walkabout Mini Golf community.
Every single day they have challenges.
So
every single day in their community.
If you're
they don't miss a
Walkabout,
beat, dude.
if you're a Walkabout Mini Golf fan, yeah, it's definitely almost, and you know how to use Discord, you're already using it. So like, dude, go hop into the Walkabout Mini Golf community. They do a great job there.
They're like a must follow.
Yeah.
On their socials. Because they're daily active. I don't care if a lot of them individually in company on LinkedIn, they're Instagram, everywhere, every single day. Their media team just does not stop.
And again, they do great with community events and giveaways and all of that stuff. They actually just held a great event at South by Southwest. I saw the meetup picture. I was like, what a stacked lineup. Definitely wish we were there. Unfortunately, we can't attend every event, especially as we're planning big things here. I know we've had some developers ask us if we're going to GDC. Fortunately, wasn't in the podcast budget this year, especially as we're doing some big projects on the back end to pimp out a new podcast studio inside our spot as well, too. That's going to be pretty big, and then everything with the showcase. But hopefully next year we can see GDC, South by Southwest. That
every year.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
Legit every year.
But last year we did check a lot of the boxes of things. So, you know, we're growing. We're going. We're going to be at PAX East. For any developers or VR studios.
As it seems thus far.
I've heard of one studio thus far. So, you know, if you're on the fence, we'll be there. I've heard of at least one big studio so far. So
no meta presence.
Not yet.
No.
I'll keep pushing it. I definitely think that they would crush it with demos.
I think even Mateo said it basically hinted like we'd work the booth.
Yeah, Mateo was all but offering us without even asking us.
He's like, well, I'll work it. You know, I mean,
you guys will
without
too.
saying it. You guys are in too, right?
I was like, all right. But this Walkabout Mini Golf Mount Olympus course, man, it doesn't bring too much new, innovative, never before seen gameplay features, except one with the planets that suck you in that can be a pain, and then there's one kind of poop shoot hole that we struggle with a lot.
The horn,
yeah,
the poop shoot. I don't know how you're using it, but. Ain't nobody whacking no ball up that. No, that's dude. I've yet to like successfully do that.
I did it my first time I ever did it. I did it without problem, and yet to do it again.
From stroking out, I still have scored under par. So I still can't figure that out. My score would have been so freaking good.
A couple of the times we played, I beat you on easy and hard, and that very rarely happens. But that was more of an off day for you than a great day.
I don't know what the hell happened. I was just watching it go downhill. Then I started just doing your type of shit of like, well, I'm going to try this, which I usually don't ever do because I'm like more, like I want a good score too, man.
And me saying that they don't bring like a whole bunch of new gameplay features besides the poop shoot and the planets. It's one of those courses that utilize a lot of angles and, you know, like difficult to reach spots. But because of that, all of the there's so much gameable opportunities on the holes in this to like
great
shortcuts,
great ball hiding in this one.
Couple balls we still haven't found. We blew through the fox hunt, and I don't know if it was an easy fox hunt or we were just so tuned up from doing.
No, we had just come off playing it, man.
We've been doing fox hunts. We're doing them daily for weeks leading into it. So like we were fox hunt like prepped by the time that course dropped,
dude. No brainer.
We blew through it in like 40 minutes. I think the fox hunt. That was like the best we've ever done with it. It was awesome.
We didn't have to walk away.
No, I mean we did the whole. We found all of the balls we were gonna find that night, and the fox hunt in one night. And that's not a negative on the course. We were just on some shit that day. We were wired, ready to go. But great course. Like I said, we played the easy and the hard several times. As always, well worth the $3.99.
Dude, even if they gave you a blank screen for $3.99, it'd probably be worth it.
Instead, you get 18 new balls, a putter, and 36 holes.
Good soundtrack.
Great soundtrack. We got to talk with Chris Raymond last week, their composer who does it all.
Man, I loaded in the other night, and I'm like, he wrote this. He created this little load-in jingle that I'm listening to at the lobby. That I'm always whistling every single time we're in the lobby.
I think both Chris and Chase, we could have done a dedicated interview with. They're both awesome to chat with.
Easily.
That was another doubleheader. We're all about the doubleheaders.
Two totally different fields too.
Tech art on one side and then composer on the other. So if you haven't checked out our latest Walkabout Mini Golf interview, dude, that was a bucket list one.
Should have asked him to write us a jingle. Can't afford it, I'm sure. You know?
So believe it or not,
You get an orchestra.
we're actually going to have another interview drop later this week.
My goodness.
I will try to keep the focus on so this isn't a too long of a marathon of an episode, and so that we're not late for our guests. But Walkabout Mini Golf's newest Mount Olympus course, $399. I say it all the time, hole in one, baby.
Yeah.
Worth every penny. This next one, I actually felt bad grabbing it from the list instead of letting you get it because it's
all right.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Dick.
This one just this one just reads you Rockstar Games. They announced that they acquired the studio that was working, maybe still is, who knows?
Like they deleted it.
That worked on Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. The studio name is Video Games Deluxe. They're out of Sydney, Australia. And they announced that the studio is now renamed to Rockstar Australia. This is also this is a studio that previously worked on the re-release of LA Noire and the VR version of LA Noire. So interesting that Rockstar scooped them up. It's important to say that Grand Theft Auto San Andreas VR was never formally canceled, not to be copium and grasping at straws. They just said it was, the development was on hold indefinitely.
Dude,
I think everything related to Rockstar Games is on hold until GTA comes out. Am I crazy?
It's all
hands on deck.
I mean, read between the lines. We've talked to people that have worked for Rockstar. It's legit. There's times in their company where it's going to be all hands on deck. And something that's a niche market, especially when they initially even announced it. Well, they didn't even really announce it. Zuckerberg announced it.
And we don't
Maybe
know
the next day they were like, what the fuck was that?
Maybe he was not supposed to announce that early.
Which one of you told him we were making this?
The best part about
I'll bring up Microsoft Flight too, but whatever.
I was going to say the best part about Zuck's position is that who's going to fire him for spoiling that,
Can't. He didn't say when. Nobody said, well, they kind of did.
So
never mind.
That's an exciting one, though. Rockstar Games has picked up the studio that was working on Grand Theft Auto San Andreas VR, and I am of the belief that GTA VR was just on hold until the next GTA is out, and then I think we'll see a resumption in development. Let's see. Maybe I'm grasping at straws. Maybe I'm just, very hopeful, but
makes me curious if they're able to turn any of it into the next GTA game coming out instead of having to go so far backwards. I mean, graphically, no matter what they do, it's not going to be the newest one. Dude. It's going to be so fucking banging.
GTA is one of those series that, I mean, every Grand Theft Auto has its own flavor and unique gameplay mechanics. Vice City plays different than San Andreas.
They got a female hero this one.
That plays different than 4.
That you can pick, so.
Playing as Nico and the gameplay options in 4 are much different than what's in 5.
They're going to have the helicopters. They're going to have planes. It's just going to do it.
I'm still shocked that they didn't go Vice City, that they went to San Andreas with the stats. San Andreas is the most RPG-ish because of what you could do with CJ, all the haircuts, the body morphing.
That's the one where you had to work out and shit.
You didn't have to.
Not my favorite.
That was my favorite. That's
not for me.
Loved San Andreas.
The last one's my favorite, dude. Get the fuck out.
Okay, yeah.
But Vice City to me was great.
I think Vice City would have been an easier one to accomplish.
Miami Vice vibe going on.
You can't swim in
Great
Vice City.
Soundtrack.
Let's think of it like, okay, boom. Now we don't need to worry about swimming. Yeah. You can't swim Vice City. Tommy can't swim. He drowns.
There was still a lot to do. The graphics were just rough.
Hell yeah.
Graphics are real rough.
I think that would have been an easier hurdle than San Andreas, but hopefully this is a good sign that we do see it in the future.
It was started to be worked on. This is true, right? It was more than just a discussion and some sketches. So there has to be some programming.
Yeah.
That I just don't know at what state. I mean, that's the beauty of Rockstar. It's like, with the exception of getting hacked, you're not getting leaked memos.
I mean, this is one of the things, according to Upload VR, because they're ninjas. An actor, Michael Ursu, in 2023, he added to his resume an undisclosed Rockstar game under a VR section of his resume that was instantly deleted once people saw it. So they're doing something VR as of 2023. Like, man, let's let GTA 6 come out, and if nothing flows from there, then the project's dead. But I don't think we'll see anything from Rockstar come out that's not GTA 6 until it's done.
Although it would be so Rockstar for them to do that.
What's that? Just can it?
No, come out with fucking San Andreas VR before the release.
Yeah, I just
It'd be doesn't matter.
Maybe
It's
if it was farther in development.
if there was any, we don't know. We don't know what level of development. Nobody has seen the level of development.
People might be playing a playable build.
Dude, yeah, we have no idea. So here's the thing. Maybe somebody was still working on it as well.
Mm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, we don't know.
So it's
maybe
like,
it was just a small team, 2 people.
But if there was a studio to do something gangster like that, it would be it'd be Rockstar. 100%. That's crazy, dude. I'm excited. Don't ever say they'll can it. Spend all that money, they're not going to Google it. All right, so this one has me super excited because we had heard about it real early. I'm just shocked that we're already here because I legit thought this was going to be like another 6 months to a year away. But a game co-developed by Dovetail Games and Just Add Water. Tran Sim World VR New York. Confirmed March 27th.
Ooh, official release date.
2025. And the only thing I have confirmed is that you'll be able to ride officially licensed MTA, MT3A, MT7A. These are all New York City trains, by the way. Train cabs across the Harlem line. If you don't live in New York or don't know anything about the U.S.
You're about to.
Harlem is a city, not a city, but a little area in New York. Actually real historic. It's going to have career mode, dude.
I know.
Be able to go to the Bronx.
Advance your career as an engineer, as a rookie engineer. That's freaking badass.
Career mode, when I saw the article, stood right out in my face.
That's the type of stuff that these type of games are absolutely missing. Dude.
A customizable New York apartment as your hub between missions. Which means it pays huge to be an engineer because you're not affording an apartment. It's $1 million.
These type of upgrades are so essential for these type of great games. So hats off to them for coming out with full-fledged game features.
March 27th.
It does come with a full-fledged game price tag as well, though. The game is $31.99, discounted for pre-order down to $27.99. But I mean, like, look, if they're bringing a full career,
yeah, I'm on it.
I think that's a day one buy for you. I think you're kind of, when you saw the article, you're like, hey.
When I first heard about it, I was...
Well, you were like, that's this month. We don't have it yet, man. Can I get that?
I won't lie. I reached out to somebody.
You started sending some emails right away. You were like, I didn't know it was this close.
I'm like, we have a confirmed release date of like 2 weeks.
You were like, that's this month, dude.
You have a broken version I can play?
Yeah, I was shocked to see it this close as well.
Mm-hmm. To me, it almost like remember, they did that quick.
Remember that excitement that day that we first heard about it?
Yeah.
How I remember you running up to me and you went, there is somebody you need to talk to.
Yeah, I go, dude. Well, I was like...
We were on the high of the event.
2 rooms away.
Yeah.
I had just come out. I don't remember. I think I went to go stand on the patio for a minute. Then I ran across Ben and we were talking.
Next thing I know, you're
like,
fucking...
Don't go anywhere.
You give me like the wide eyes, the hand on the shoulders.
Well, yeah, because you were in a group. You were talking to a bunch of people. And I'm like, dude, you got to... Sorry. Don't mean to be rude. Got to go.
That event sticks out to me because we got there and it was a little awkward of like, oh, I don't know if we know anyone. Like, how do we even get in?
Well, you walk into a building with like 100 people and everything loud. And
I was like, shit, did we make like, could we have done other things, and then like it ended up, the pictures of it, we're all smiling in groups of 8, it says enough, It
was a great mixer, dude.
Yeah. But it started out, I was like, oh man, I don't know.
No, you know what pissed me off? The only thing that whole night, trying to get in the building,
and the dude watching us struggle,
standing at the door and
watching us on the wrong side.
Like, hey, about blah 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 blah.
And he goes,
event?
yeah, I work here.
Yeah,
I work it.
How do we get in? He just didn't say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm like, I think we were looking at our phone. Like, we're not crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have the invite. It was as simple as walking to the other door on the other side of the building. But it's like
that was a Twilight Zone moment.
Yeah, it wasn't the event. He didn't work for the event. He worked for the friggin' building.
That was nuts.
That was weird.
Yeah.
But the event was phenomenal.
So, yeah, we start off with that. We're not even in yet. We're like, that little awkward interaction. We go in. I was like, oh man, I don't know how great of a mixture this is going to be. And then 10 out of 10.
And not only did we learn about Tran Sim World coming, but we got to talk to somebody who was working on it. So even cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that I believe we'll be talking to soon.
Ooh, we got to get them on if it's this close.
Verbal agreement. I don't know how that holds up. I don't know how that holds up
the
out there.
podcast courts.
The podcast courts, international law, whatever.
International podcast course.
Dude, and he's a cool dude too.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
Yeah, no, I'm super excited for this. We mentioned it before when we talked about it coming. So here we are, a couple weeks.
All right, so
I've been trained, baby.
So hyped for it.
Career mode.
Yeah, that's the real winner. They have a flat screen. They have a Massachusetts one that runs Boston to Worcester. Which, you know, it'd be cool if that expanded to Western Mass, bring that to VR. We could be driving through Springfield on a train in VR. Do you know how epic that would be? All right. We got to get through the news.
Springfield to Boston?
Could spend a whole hour just on that. These first two news pieces, Walkabout.
Be more gangster if they have the homeless encampments off the tracks like they do in real life.
Look, we talked Walkabout. We talked.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Let's call it a show. We got the important ones. I'm just kidding. So this was a cool one. It's a 2-part one. Pretty straightforward, though. Quest Plus has 2 aspects to it. They do their monthly rotating games, which change every month. Claim them while they're there, or else you can't, grab them while they're there, or else you'll never grab them again for free like that. That's just a joke, too. They might get added to the rotation again sometime. But they're only there for that month. And then they have a permanent available list of games, which, of course, is subject to change, too. But meaning like it's not just there for 1 month. I've yet to really see the popular ones go away, like Red Matter, Walkabout Mini Golf, and such. Well, they added 3 new games to the permanent list of Quest Plus catalog, which again, maybe in 6 months these games aren't here, but permanent with an asterisk. They added Job Simulator, 11 Table Tennis, and Ghosts of Tabor to the Quest Plus catalog. Those are 3 freaking heavy hitters.
11 Table Tennis, dude.
Job Sim and Ghost of Tabor on Quest Plus. So you get a headset, you get the month for free of Quest Plus, and you can just go dude, the amount of high quality games you get on Quest Plus is insane. And then they also announced that this month for March, the March 2025 games are Golf Plus and Light Brigade. So these 2 are only here for March. Grab them while they're there. But those are 2 freaking solid games as well. Golf Plus, Light Brigade. Light Brigade's one of the best roguelites. Mm-hmm. Golf Plus is such a true to earth.
Golf Plus is freaking amazing.
So this month with Quest Plus, you get Walkabout and Golf Plus.
Do you remember when Golf Plus wasn't Golf Plus?
It was Top Golf.
Top Golf.
Yep. Bring back the POWs. That's all I'll say for the OG.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a program thing.
I think it's just me and you just want it. Nobody else cares. But I'm convinced the POWs was a tragic thing.
There's millions of people who don't know what they're missing because they haven't experienced the POW.
The POWs. Used to be if you hit your partner in Top Golf, which Top Golf with Pro Putt was the old name of Golf Plus, you'd hit them with your putter because why wouldn't you? It was the first thing me and you did. And this comic book POW popped up and it was so awesome. Anyway,
it was funny.
Yeah.
All right. So to stay on focus,
it's hard.
I'm sure it's kind of old news as it's last week news, but it's still news.
It's big news to me
because it didn't happen before that when we did our last news. But Exo Cars is on PlayStation VR 2, and not only that, but they're all caught up with some of the previous updates that had come out with it.
They had caused a bit of controversy. I don't know if you had heard about this.
Yeah.
That they've since fixed. They announced that because Sony wouldn't let them add wheel support to Exo Cars, they removed the ability to use a wheel attachment on PC VR and Quest. No, I'm sorry, I have it backwards. Because the Quest doesn't allow
wheel support,
they removed the ability from PC VR and weren't going to support it on PSVR 2. So the community on PSVR 2 went nuts. They were like, "You're really going to launch this game without wheel accessory support because the Quest can't support it?"
Well, and it's a driving
game. You come on, man.
Kind of need it if you're gonna. Unless it's really good, solid hand tracking.
They listened to the community. By the time the game launched, they launched it with the wheel support on PSVR 2. I only want to mention that because there's probably some people that heard the initial, like it's not going to be supported, and didn't catch that they actually did add it in the end. Sometimes it's hard to come back from that first initial negative news, you know? It's hard to like correct it and be like, no, we actually fixed it. So yeah, if you're on PSVR 2, you can use it with wheel support. So that's a cool one. So maybe not the most positive news for people that love paid adult premium games, but results are results. Gorilla Tag has been dethroned, at least temporarily, as the top earning game on the MetaQuest platform by a new game called Animal Company. It's not brand new. It's been out, but content creators are like the Gorilla Tag audience. So many of them have navigated the Animal Company
style of movement.
You know,
I've not played this game.
I can't tell you on movement. I'll show you the trailer. It's not mine and yours type of game. It's definitely that like Gorilla Taggy looking. It looks like Gorilla Tag, to be honest, as I'm looking at the trailer. Doesn't it look?
That looks a lot like Gorilla Tag.
Just with different animals
and stuff.
Yeah. Dude, Gorilla Tag set a whole genre. You got to give them
Shadow Studio.
You got to give them.
But to get dethroned in your own thing that you did.
But they do. They have like mining in it, inventory management, seasonal events. It has 4.8
Gorilla Tag meets Minecraft.
4.8 user ratings. I'm sorry, 4.8 out of 5 rating with 58,000 user reviews. Probably 59,000 by the time this episode comes out. So they're crushing it with user count and stuff, and it's free to play, and they're now the top earning game on the MetaQuest platform. So, I mean, congrats to the studio. Not my cup of tea.
Congrats to the influence of the younger player base, because that's a game that I haven't seen shoved down my throat, and for it to be the top earner.
Yeah, I'm seeing it a lot on social media because people are doing YouTube videos of it, and it's like their number one video.
I've seen a couple of videos, but not enough to see like top earner. I see more other videos of other games that aren't.
It's crushing
in the top 10.
It's crushing it on the YouTube algorithm right now. People are taking off
Must
big,
be.
but like not my cup of tea. I'm not gonna. But I'll recognize they're crushing it. Number one selling over Beat Saber, over Gorilla Tag.
Well, dude, Beat Saber's 100 years old. What the fuck?
Yeah, but Beat Saber.
The fact that it remains in the top 10, like
it's so hard to beat
like
Beat Saber on sales.
Roots.
So, dude, how much money is this Animal Company studio pulling? Props to them. They're crushing it.
Millions.
Yeah, it's
legit millions.
Not a game for me. Probably not a game for a lot of our people in like our Discord server and stuff.
It's a place for the little ones to go. Then great.
And these people are going to be consumers in 10 years. Like, it's great that they're using VR and enough that it's a number one selling game.
I don't have to worry, because the argument's always like, oh no, they're going to grow up and make games like this. And it's like, no, they're going to grow up and won't have shoulders. So they're not going to fucking make games with movement like this because they won't be able to play it.
Dude, I played such dumb Flash games that like if you saw what I was playing as free-to-play available games on like miniclip.com and stuff like that, and you thought that would be any translation to like how I consume games as an adult, like no, it's getting them into the platform. That's all that matters, you know?
It's a place for them to go.
Yeah, like you said, it has a place for the industry. It's not you and I, but it exists.
Yeah. But I guess speaking of like
animals,
because we had talked about, I don't remember if last week, I know we talked about Rogue Pinatas, but did we really get into the fact that we played it?
It wasn't out yet. So I don't think we always veer on the side of caution.
I just feel like we did. I don't know.
Well, if we did, we won't spend too much time. Either way. But
anyways, for co-op play, man.
Yeah, we've been playing it.
We've been having a fucking blast.
There was even one level we could have finished how much longer before we closed?
We dragged it out.
We just kept. It was up to us to put all the things in, right? The batteries.
Yeah, you had to do the transformers, and then you go to the meeting spot
before the final boss
at like the park or some shit. No, even after the final boss, because the game doesn't end after the final boss, right? You still have to go in the circle. You have to go in the circle at the end. And
I think so.
The countdown timer.
Yep.
So we just dragged it out. I needed to go to bed, dude.
There was a challenge for that.
There was no point in keeping the play
because it's a roguelite. So your level ups only last for that one round.
We have strategy when we go in there.
Yeah,
I go right to the bonus shit to unlock stuff. And
all right, so it's a roguelite game. You can play single player or co-op. I don't think I would have that much fun single player, not to be mean, but like it's a co-op
No.
game to me.
Because we use strategy.
Yes.
We do really good at this.
If you hear someone say they didn't like this game, ask them if they played it single player or co-op.
Yeah, you're missing out. Co-op's the only way to play this game to get the most enjoyment out of it.
If somebody told me they didn't like it, I'd assume they played it single player. I'd have to ask some questions. It's a lot of fun.
I'd say it's fun single player, but it's meant to be played co-op.
But you go in, you have like 5 different characters to potentially play as, but you only have one available.
You gotta unlock them.
Yeah, you have this little kid that I actually love his Batarama weapon that you start with. It's a swinging bat. And then there's like 3 or 4 other characters that you unlock by finding their weapon and killing a bunch of pinatas with it. Then you select your level, you go in, you just start killing pinatas, and they drop candy that levels you up. Every time you level up, you pick an upgrade, a new weapon, a stat increase, speed increase. It's a roguelite, could be almost anything. Health regeneration. But then there's these circles that you were saying that you run right to, that you run there and you sit there for 20 seconds. You can hear it. They do a great job with the sound effects. Ding, ding, ding. And if you stay there for 20 seconds,
It varies. 15, 20, 30.
And I think if both of us stand on it, doesn't it go a little faster too?
I don't really know.
You just kind of run off like a ninja.
I go right to them.
Because if one person does it,
shit, dude.
yeah, and it unlocks it for both people. So besides unlocking upgrades as level ups, which get you new ones, these little upgrade things, you complete it, and it levels up the upgrades that you've already had, and it'll level up 1 to 3 of them. Versus like a typical level up, you only get to pick 1. So yeah, we go hard in it. Been loving Rogue Pinatas. We won't spend too much time on it, but
no, I'm over it.
If you're having you're looking for good co-op games, that's a great option to have. So a tool that we actually have that admittingly I haven't used enough. I need to use it more. The Logitech MX pen, ink pen, is one of the coolest accessories for the Quest. It's literally a pen, and a lot of games have started to support it in unconventional ways that you wouldn't use it as a pen in this use case, including Golf Plus. They're testing out using the pen as a putter, which actually, that makes so much sense. Because you're holding it like that. Like, I like that accessory. I just haven't used it enough and pushed the limits in various apps. It is priced.
I'd like a fatter pen, please.
Hey, it is priced a little hefty at $130 alone or $170 with a charging dock as well. It supports Quest 3, Quest 3S, and Quest 2. It's just a cool novelty accessory, and it's cool to see more and more games take advantage of it.
I want to see more utilize it when it can. Just make it part of the deal instead of like the afterthought, because it is a cool device.
Use it in Maestro. It's like I know it's all hand tracking. You grab something without an actual accessory support, but like it officially could work in there, right? Why not?
I use Maestro, an actual Maestro
wand. Did you buy one on Amazon?
2-pack.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. An official one. So I gotta go to any orchestra. I'm ready.
One of the best games.
Got a backup too in case I get violent with it,
One of the best games on the Quest, no doubt.
All right. So this circulated through the news pretty hot and heavy, and I'm only talking about it because it was part of the news. But man, oh man, I'm so fucking over it.
Yeah, we won't spend too,
No, I barely want to talk about it as it is. Richie's Plank experience, if you were searching for it, was
and Max Mustard.
As a studio, we're killing all your games, bro. Unilaterally delisted from Quest.
Yeah,
it's not on the store. If you own it, you can still play it,
but you can't buy it.
Was
brand
that a
new
battery?
No, I was exporting a video. I just finished.
So yeah, you still own it. It's yours to play, but you can't. If you're new and your buddy's saying, "Man, you really got to get Max Mustard," you're not going to find it.
Not on the MetaQuest. It's still available on.
It's
other
coming
stores.
back, but man, you talk about some bullshit drama. I'm just over it. It's like, I think the biggest lesson is like keep your business private.
Something happened.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly what happened. Yeah. There's speculation.
Yeah, everyone's got speculation.
There was some things said about compliancy form that wasn't signed that maybe led to it, but now Richie said, no, there's more to it, but can't say what. So that leaves everybody in a situation that all we can do is speculate, and speculating often leads to false endpoints.
Very creative stories.
Yeah, so it's best, I think, in this one, wait till more info comes out. There's another news piece later in the show I'll just mention now. Insomniac Games, a game studio owned by PlayStation these days that at one point released some MetaQuest games, they had the same thing, that all their MetaQuest games were delisted for a couple months. Nobody ever found out why, but they just announced over the weekend they're coming back. So something happened. We'll never know. And nor do I think we really need to.
Well, we're not supposed to. That's why you're not supposed to put everything into the universe.
So you had said this originally, if you don't mind me saying this, you were like, it could have started as a technical issue, and now because things are public, now it's more than
escalated.
that. Yeah, that's just...
Yeah. So you even have people like taking stances. And I'm sure somebody, did send an email and be like, hey, how come, that's bullshit, and really fired off. Dude, we know for a fact developers have gotten death threats because of something breaks in their game. It's like, it just pick your battles. Yep. And some of your business ain't our business. And I don't care who that is. It's not directed to one person, but you can just a simple technical error. I'll be back soon, folks.
Yeah, look, they lost all their studio. They're down to 4 people. They closed their studio. Things might have gotten missed or whatever, but it's not really our business. Just sympathy to the studio that they're not able to sell their game on a popular platform, and hopefully that's resolved soon. I think that's the best outcome everyone wants.
Correct.
So
I'm over that.
Yeah. So on this next one, some Samsung headset news. We have a lot of headsets coming out this year. Some rumors of other ones as well too, but the Samsung's Android XR headset is definitely a hyped one, and it came out that it could launch. I love this vague wording. It could launch,
maybe, kind of, sort of,
Q3 2025, and it's said to have a quote unquote very high price point. So if those words are used in a industry that is often head in the clouds with what is expensive, thinking that certain numbers are casual that aren't, I'm expecting this to be 2,500, if not upwards of 3K. I don't think we're seeing this under 2K.
No.
If they're saying very high price point.
Yeah, dude.
It's an industry that's often like head in the sand about what is actually affordable. And if they're saying this,
the ones that say it's not a high price point, it's a high price point.
That's my point. Like, oftentimes people are like, oh, people can afford this. They can't afford $1,500.
We're like the Mercedes of headsets.
So if they're saying very high price point already, I think we're talking Vision Pro numbers. $24.99, $29.99. That's my guess. Because, like, dude, they're already saying that. It's
$24.99 after most tax is going to be almost $3K, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's expensive.
And this report came right after it was reported that the headset's going to be using Sony's new micro OLED display lenses that has a higher resolution and wider color gamut than the Vision Pro. So basically they're saying that they're going to use new lenses from Sony that are better quality and higher lenses than the Vision Pros. By all seems, this is not a MetaQuest competitor. They're looking to kick out Apple. It looks like that's what they're going after.
You're not going after Meta with that.
No. Fuck no, but they're gonna.
Make that thing $500. You're gonna holy moly.
So Apple and Samsung are gonna fight over a very weird segment of the market. I'm not gonna say that the people that exist there are weird.
If you buy an Apple, you're not gonna buy that.
I just mean it's
gonna be like this. The cell phone wars.
We're talking about a very small user base of VR users that can afford these type of headsets. They're fighting over a very
again, if you're an Apple user and you bought the Apple headset,
you're not
why
buying
would
this.
you buy that?
Yeah,
it's for the same reason you don't own a Samsung phone.
They're fighting over
it's very strange
users that definitely exist, but I don't think there's enough of them to justify what they're doing. Is my point. That's what I mean by weird.
Not for that money.
No,
a lot cheaper than you. So nobody's the only company that can compete with Meta is not allowed for sale in North America.
You're saying Pico, or as I've always said, if Nintendo came out tomorrow with a Nintendo headset that comes out with Mario, Zelda IPs at launch.
But my vision of Pico is a lot more realistic than Nintendo.
Which is more realistic at this point, that Pico can sell in North America, or that Nintendo will do something.
Pico in North America.
Let's go. You're pushing for it.
I can open TikTok right now, and I can't put on my US bought Pico headset. The fuck out of
But Nintendo has made VR stuff with Switch. They have the Nintendo Labo, which is a little cardboard headset.
Okay. So didn't Google. No, Nintendo's making too much money, dude.
Yeah, I just think they would crush it.
It's like, of course they would, but it's not going to make that Nintendo money that they're accustomed to.
A boy can dream, can't he? Can't you let a boy dream?
If this shit was like full blown mainstream, then yeah, you'd probably see Nintendo shoving it down your face.
A Nintendo standalone headset would bring in so many new users. If they launch with a Zelda game in VR, get the fuck out.
I'd like to see them sell their IPs.
A Smash Bros. Kind of like,
or just develop their own
Quantar style battler at launch, a Mario Party game. Let's go.
All right. So we'll talk some doom and gloom.
Doom and gloom.
It's the doom and gloom segment.
The gloom hours.
It's the weekly layoff. We like to call this the weekly layoff. So 16% of Rec Room's staff will be laid off.
I've heard
to make things more competitive to a changing market. This came from the CEO, Nick Fott.
Meta needs to keep this in mind as they chase this metaverse.
Horizon Polygon.
The number one bad boy that has popularity on every
Nothing's
platform.
happening to Rec Room now, just so everyone's, it's just to keep Rec Room.
Yeah, they probably overhired during the pandemic like everyone, and they're still correcting for it. But
yeah, you know what is interesting though? It's rare when you actually get to, I'm jacking this from Upload VR, of course, but they will receive 3 months of paid severance, 6 months of healthcare, which healthcare is worth.
That's a big one, especially when you talk about things like Cobra and stuff.
Wider career help with finding new employment, such as one-on-one assistance with resume writing and career coaching. So at least they're not like, we're laying off and the best you're going to get some, unemployment.
Here's a Rec Room sticker. 6 months free of Rec Room Premium or something,
You'll never have to pay for Rec Room.
Yeah, something like that,
And give us back your voice changer.
we set up an exclusive forum for you guys.
So I always suck to see 16%.
But they're clearly trying their best to take to.
Well, and they don't want it to die. So
yeah.
But I mean,
Rec Room's one that's popular flat screen on PC, on consoles, and on VR headsets. So it's just something to keep in mind for these metaverse ambitions. The number one bad boy has to be reasonable about their scope, right? So
yeah, it looks like your buddy Nintendo did some damage on him too.
Really?
Yeah. Last year's Nintendo Switch port.
Ew.
To me, it's just, I'm sorry, but it's Rec Room. It's not my jam. We've found a couple of cool things in there. I've probably aged out of what would be a good Rec Room experience.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I'm sure if I was 10 years old, it would be fucking amazing.
I'd be the biggest little jerk, I'd be
could be good.
I would be the people I don't want to play with.
Let's be real. If the Rec Room audience is getting older every day and you're not replacing that with new users, and that's all, if your user base is always going to be 10 years old, you always need to get new users in, right?
We look between the lines in this and point out that the real damage is being done by Horizon Worlds.
Yeah, Horizon Worlds is taking the market 16%.
And the takeover.
All right. All right. Unfortunate news.
Yeah, no, 16% will be, I mean, at least
they're doing it right in the best way you can.
3 months salary, and
people don't have to worry about things like looking for Cobra and stuff.
Cobra's not worth it.
That's what I'm saying.
You'd be better off on state healthcare. 100%, dude. Who can afford Cobra? That's a mortgage payment.
But 6 months of that while you find a new job is definitely
6 months is
the least
fair.
they could do. That's awesome.
And job placement coaching is always that's pretty good. I applaud them for that.
So my favorite VR animation studio by far, Astrea. I never know how to exactly pronounce. I remember when it was all just Atlas 5, and then they ended up making
such easier times.
And then Atlas 5 expanded out to Astrea, which is their official, VR studio and publisher side. They've made things like Mobile Suit Gundam, Silver Phantom, Wallace and Gromit, Astra, a whole bunch of great stuff. They came out with their newest experience to launch on the Quest, a 40-minute, 4-chapter interactive experience called The Passengers, which actually did originally come out in around 2021, I believe. But this is the first time it's available for download on headsets. Previously, it was just crushing it with awards and such in film festivals. So it did the film festival circuit for a couple years, which means it did good if they kept showing it, right?
I was gonna say, yeah,
That was like a staple, right?
Yeah.
Won some awards, and now it's going to be available on the MetaQuest. So definitely one I'm going to check out. I love Astria. It's going to be available for $5. Available Quest 2, Quest 3, 3S, and also on Steam for PC VR headsets. Yeah, it was VR Experience of the Year at the VR Awards in 2021. It won Best Immersive Fiction at the Canadian Screen Awards in 2022, as well as some other awards too. So clearly it's definitely one I'm going to check out. $5. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, they do good shit.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Results speak.
When I saw it's one of those names that when you see behind it, although I do agree Atlas 5 was kind of cool. Just easier to know you're saying it right.
Sometimes I find it tough when they suddenly launch with like subdivisions of a company and you're like, no, but it's all the same it's just like, all right. Cool stuff there.
Okay. Speaking of cool stuff and kind of like, a rude awakening to reality, I guess. Because man, so Meta's suppliers, they're heavily going after, and I mean, and you'll hear why in a second, what Meta describes as a new wonder material, which is what is used to give Orion that awesome, I wouldn't know from firsthand experience, but from what I've heard, a very awesome field of view.
It's just not realistic to make yet.
It will cost, if you want to buy one, if they were to like make it consumer friendly,
you can't even do this if they were to.
The cheapest you're going to be able to do it is $10,000 freaking dollars. That is, so they're, but the material that it's a carbon, I don't want to screw it up. Oh, it's a silicone carbide.
We're talking about materials that just cannot be manufactured at scale right now.
Well,
like this is futuristic materials. This is nuts. The shit that they need to do this.
Yeah, but this is it also Project Artemis is the alternative for the short term because this technology will be dropped in 2027.
Yes, Artemis is one of their rumored wearable tech. My understanding with Orion is what they showed off MetaConnect with Orion will never exist as a consumer product.
That's the future.
It was like a concept art of a product look into the future. They're going to do something much more scalable and consumer wise.
But works.
You can't sell something for $10K right now.
But you can.
You could. I actually think that they should.
But you could.
How many do you think they would sell? 1,000? Worldwide with like billionaires like Elon Musk.
Dude,
like
they'd sell way more than 1,000.
So like,
can I say something?
It might be justifiable to do even at that.
Do you know how
cost.
ridiculous people spend money?
I know.
We have a license plate thing big to do in the city I work in, right? For actually like one of the characters, and do you know what? They're all 99 to 0 plates. Do you know what plate like 0 goes for?
25K?
25,000.
How did I guess that?
Yeah. Do you know what the
I'm so proud of myself.
Do you know what the highest bid plate is?
What's that?
Plate 69.
No doubt. Yeah.
So people, I think it's over like 10K now on the auction price, but it's probably going to exceed the minimum.
So yes, people would buy Orions. I'm surprised that they don't even offer it
10
as a
grand.
sale.
It's like, I mean, granted it was, prototype city, but
I wonder how much Meta talking about Orion and going, well, we can't make it because this material doesn't exist. I wonder if that spearheaded this material.
What's Artemis going to cost?
I know. I'd imagine like $19.99 or something, $14.99.
It is not going to be cheap.
But
it can't be.
I wonder if Meta's Orion conversation spearheaded manufacturers looking into it, or if those things just happened.
Well, look, man, they made a proof of concept that works,
but is missing a material.
Oh no, they have their material. It's just
but missing it at scale.
Yeah, from a commercial standpoint. But then again, man,
Exciting times.
Look at a computer from the 60s. It was the size of this room, and it could do like math.
I am so down for the
real
wearables.
Simple math.
The wearables department of Reality Labs. They are going to bring wearable cybernetics to us quicker than any other company.
To the first one, and it should be Apple. Apple should already be on this to not see that the cell phone is gone. And you need to reproduce this.
I think we'll always use a little brick device that with a screen.
Why?
I think a cell phone will still exist. Why do we use computers still? We have a cell phone. Like there's
We
use
don't
cases for each one.
We don't use operator switchboards anymore to connect a call.
Sometimes
right?
technology does replace.
But at that moment in time, someone would go, "Why would we never use this? We used to use corded phones.
Why would you use a
couldn't get
computer if you
cordless.
can use a phone?
Huh?
Why do you use a computer if you can do everything on a computer that you can do on your phone? Because sometimes there's practical applications that it's better still.
Bigger screen. It's the only fucking reason.
The
only reason I use a computer for like laptop is a bigger screen. There's nothing this laptop does that my phone can't do. Just doesn't have a big fat screen. Now at home, obviously the desktops, I can't VR game with my phone.
I think the technology will coexist, but one of us is right.
Dude, 1,000,000%. Look at what the cell phone has done to the phone.
I know. But
took it all away. Now, if I can put on a pair of glasses and I have all the supported technology of a cell phone in a really fat, nice point of view, and I just go, and I can see the freaking thing to whatever scale or size I want. I can pull up websites. I can do whatever I want.
I know.
Hand tracking as well.
I could do that.
So
I can do everything on my computer
why are you and be like,
sometimes it's more convenient.
Why would you need this? What would be, and cloud storage is like almost all but forced on you.
I think we'll see I don't think wearables will remove cell phones. I think we'll see them coexist.
No way. But I'll totally predict it because something always has to take over something.
Not necessarily.
Why?
Cell phones didn't take over computers. The computer's been dying.
Keep in mind the cell phone.
You can find articles from the 80s of people saying
the cell phone's not meant to take over a computer. The cell phone just happened to become a computer. The cell phone was originally it was made to make a phone call.
Well, the vision of a smartphone was to do everything that you can do on a phone. I mean, on a computer and stuff.
I'm talking about the invention of the cell phone.
I know.
It wasn't ever invented with I'm taking over a computer. It was invented to make a phone call.
The smartphone was, though.
That's a smartphone. I'm talking.
But it didn't kill computers.
The cell phone is what became the smartphone.
Yes, with the vision to do everything you can do on computers.
Now, how many people own a landline? So I could argue. I would argue, however many people own a landline, still would be how many people would opt to have a laptop if you can do it all from glasses.
The problem is that you're talking about the same technology that's upgraded in and of itself. We're still talking about phones. So a landline to a cell phone is a phone upgrade. A phone to a smartphone is a phone upgrade.
A phone to a smartphone is a phone upgrade.
It's still it's phone.
A phone
technology.
to a smartphone is a computer.
Yes, obviously, smartphone killed.
But it started with that cell phone,
right?
So I'll stick to.
But it's not killing any. It's not killing any tech that's not on its own evolutionary chain. Like landline is a phone, a cell phone, a wireless cell phone is a phone.
Yeah.
The smartphone is a phone. All it killed was the previous generation of that evolution. I don't think wearables will kill something that's not on its evolutionary line.
Why couldn't it though?
I think a wearable might kill a watch or like other wearable.
Why would I? But in my head, it's like,
because why would I use a computer if? Because there's still practical applications.
But why would I need?
I want to show you something.
But
sometimes I prefer.
I send
to
it
watch
right
the
to your
device.
glasses, man.
We'll see.
I send it right to you.
My vision.
I just tell my phone, fucking, hey, send Damien.
We won't know until it happens. I think we'll see them coexist for the same reason that the smartphone didn't kill a computer.
This has to go away.
No way.
It's evolution, dude.
You could say the same thing about this. People have been saying desktop computers are going to die for 50 years.
Let's be honest. They haven't exactly pushed a replacement technology for a computer. What's to compete with it?
Notebooks,
right?
Like tablets. They've definitely tried with keyboards attached and stuff. But
and you know what it always comes down to?
A laptop sometimes is in the end better.
It's a small screen.
In the end, the laptop's better.
So if my options are only this,
I think
I want this.
I get it.
I
love how fully committed you are.
If I can put on my glasses and go, I want to see a 72-inch fucking computer screen. I get that. Why would I ever want this?
That's how I flat screen game a lot of times on my Quest, but sometimes I still do flat screen.
I would hope I wouldn't want my phone anymore.
Why don't you do 100% of your flat screen gaming in VR then? When you can have a bigger screen than you would ever have in real life.
Because I got a 52 upstairs in the bedroom, and that's where I fall asleep to do my flat screen.
I play my flat screen gaming a lot of times in VR, but sometimes I still play it now on a regular screen. Sometimes I'll play it on this tiny ass laptop. It's hard to kill another tech.
I don't think this is impossible at all.
I think
I think this is a move that if Apple was real clever, because look at what they charge for these fucking thing, over $1,000.
But wearables though,
and we'll spend $1,000 because of what it does. And now you're going to put this into a pair of glasses, and I can do everything that I can do.
Hey, we're pretty sold on wearables, though, aren't we,
dude?
Like the cybernetics department coming out.
And you
of
know
Meta.
the reality. These things are probably going to like highlight some green shit, like tell you little arrows and stuff at the start. But I'm just thinking ahead, man.
All right, we got
I really want it bad.
We went down a little rant. My next one isn't even news either because I already talked about it earlier. I mentioned Insomniac Games.
I'm excited.
Insomniac VR games, they were removed from the MetaQuest store. But, I mean, this was a couple months ago, and now they are finally back. So my next one after that was then Vertigo 2, Into the Ether. Their DLC is now arriving, announced to be coming out in April of 2025 without an exact date. They had previously targeted March 30th, 2025, the last possible time in March that they could. It sounds unrealistic for their own development schedule, and now it's going to be coming out on Steam PC VR sometime in April. And Vertigo 2 is considered one of the best PC VR games. Definitely one to check out. It won the 2023 Game of the Year for Upload VR. So, I mean, dude, DLC expansion, you're a fan of the game, definitely a must try. Kid's a genius. The kid that develops as a sole dev, he was working with Valve on stuff like, I don't even know if he was 18 yet.
That's pretty freaking amazing.
Or he had just turned 18. Like, he's just a wicked talented kid.
Doing anything with Valve is pretty amazing.
Right? To get their attention that young. Kid's a whiz.
Okay. Short and sweetie. This is more of a you're right.
Why are you saying my nickname's on air? That's, I'm just kidding. It's been a long day.
We're going back to the Andrew Bosworth leaked memo that when it came out, there was a whole bunch of again, another example of just like rapid speculation. What does it mean? The sky's falling, the world's falling.
Rapid and rabid.
I think you actually, when we had read it and you were like, I kind of interpret it as more of an internal
motivational pep talk.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're down on this metric. Everywhere else we're doing great. This is what we're going to
do this year. It's like everybody that's worked for companies has gotten these. And
we can't slack on this metric next year.
So it seems to be that the world is not falling.
And it was a rally cry prep.
It was exactly how it was interpreted to some. And
I see motherfuckers ain't watching Braveheart anymore. They don't know what a William Wallace rally cry, get the troops ready is.
Yeah,
anymore.
It's just
any given Sunday type speech, I just
wanted to make it noteworthy that it's official. It was not the sky is falling type of situation. It was literally an internal, motivation. Here's what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
We're excited, not going to do this. We'll focus on, just like, again, everybody's gotten these from their company. Nobody's ever ran to their boss and been like, am I getting fired?
Yeah. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty proud of myself that I saw that.
That was a good one.
No, I think that one's just rally cries. So I know developers will be excited for this, and this will trickle down to when consumers see what this can create. It'll create consumer excitement. Much requested, a Meta support page now is suggesting that the Quest Pass-Through API feature for developers is imminent. And what that API feature would do, it would allow developers access to the cameras. So right now, as a developer, you can't use the camera to analyze what's in the room, which might sound vague. I mean, you could use it to open up a fridge and it could read the contents of your fridge in a very simple manner, but there's so many endless potential fun games and use cases that you could do that just require the developer to be able to access and read the data from the camera. And Meta has always, due to past controversies, on the VR side of things, been very hesitant on what they share data-wise with developers. But finally, because they showed it off that it's going to be available for developers with Ray-Bans, and I instantly looked at you at Connect when they showed that off, and I went, well, if they're going to give that for the Ray-Ban developers, where's that for the headsets? And then later they announced it will come for the headsets. It seems it is imminently coming anytime now that developers will get that access. And dude, give it 2 months. We're going to start to see some crazy shit on social media with it. I'm so confident.
Well, there's a lot of potential. I mean, and the timing's good because if they had done this years ago, people would have brought them to court.
Mm-hmm.
thinking that they're being snooped on and all this shit. And
They waited until it was like the request outweighed.
Yeah.
Like it was
Correct.
Developers were going
as
out
things
and
get
advocating
more,
for them.
As you become numb to shit.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, in the 50s, you didn't want anybody knowing none of your business. And I mean, none of it. And now everyone has an Alexa, that you can actually request what she's listened to and be amazed at wow, she actually does pay attention.
I mean, imagine you're looking in the mirror with your headset on, and then it's able to layer clothing on your body to show you what an outfit would look like.
Well, I mean, I love the idea with the Ray-Bans of being able to look in your pantry and ask your glasses, what can I make for dinner?
Correct.
And it'll say, well, based on all this shit, here's 50 different options.
But if you don't have access
Why are
to
you
the
saying
camera,
you never got food? I'm looking at a whole fucking week's worth of meals.
you can't do that without access to the camera.
Correct.
So let's see what cool shit comes out when this finally goes live. It's not live yet, but seems like it's coming any day now.
Okay. So
Cool shit.
I'm bumping one. But anyways, this is just kind of cool because it's a little glimpse into what we as consumers will probably get someday. But Meta was able to create photo realistic avatars from just using 4 photos or 4 selfies. That's pretty freaking amazing.
And the avatars look tight.
Yeah, it's nothing we're getting tomorrow. It's not like update 78, welcome to photo, but guaranteed we're getting them someday. So that's going to be an awesome game. Although a lot of people like to use VR to escape their real avatar, but a lot of people work hard to make an avatar that looks just like them.
That's the one area Vision Pro, in my opinion, crushes Meta.
Yeah.
Their avatars are so sick.
Meta's saying, hold my coffee.
I've been on a call with someone that has their Vision Pro avatar as their, voice chat video, and it looks so much like them. Meta has these photorealistic avatars besides these 4 pictures ones that they've teased before. Mark Zuckerberg did a whole interview with Lex Friedman in the avatar form.
Yeah.
But they were using Quest Pros attached to high-powered PCs. So it's not available on standalone yet, but this is just one step closer, definitely. So this next piece of news is definitely one that is outside a little bit of my comfort zone of understanding what the hell is going on. Niantic, a company that I love them. They come out with great experiences like Peridot, as well as Pokemon Go and stuff like that. They've been expanding into the VR side of things. Their Scaniverse app is now available on the Quest 3 and 3S. So the Scaniverse app lets you scan real-world 3D scenes for free, and then your device processes it, and it looks like that you can now view them in VR. Meaning, if I'm understanding this correctly, using Gaussian splats, it's basically like extremely high data video, photo recording. I don't understand that allows a pretty easy 3D model recreation. You'll be able to go and scan a park and put it into VR is how it looks. If I'm understanding correctly.
Seems a little large.
Yeah, I'm not the most educated on Gaussian splats. I went to go watch a little video on it, start playing some audio. But yeah, it looks like you just go, you scan it with your phone, you export it into the app, and then these is all 3D model recreations that's going on the screen there too. That's not a...
Or you're taking the scan and you're putting it into the real world.
Correct, but in order to do that, it needs to create a 3D walkable model of it. There needs to be depth to it. It's creating a whole 3D
it's a huge
scene.
undertaking.
Yeah, Gaussian splats is a futuristic tech. Obviously, that's existed for a while, but is getting better.
It's working.
That I don't fully understand. So, you can use a Gaussian splat to then create a 3D model of that, and that's not a photo. That's a 3D model.
Yeah,
You could
kind of huge.
Cool shit, right? Niantic is such a cool company. So definitely going to check out the Scaniverse. Uses the LiDAR depth sensor on the iPhone Pro and iPad Pro models to do it. I don't know, man. That's something I had to look into more, but so cool to see it now on the 3 and the 3S.
Cool. So the last one I'm actually going to pawn off to you because I'm going to do something I rarely have to do during the episode, but I need to use the restroom real quick.
Wow.
Well, interview, then this, and
I'll say this one too.
So you got this one.
Okay. I'll pump out a couple real quick. There's an anime inspired RPG sword adventure game Revere. I don't know how to pronounce it exactly. Sword Revere. It has launched officially in early access as of last week on Quest and Steam VR for $19.99. Currently rocking a 4.7 with 22 ratings. So if you're into sword RPG anime inspired adventures, definitely check that out. Haven't played yet, so can't give my full thoughts on it, but it was on the list and we're running out of time, so I had to pump that out quick. Anyways, though, that's all the news for today. We have an interview to record in 10 minutes, so let's wrap this baby up real quick with this last part here. Just the upcoming games through the month of March. I'll take the first half up until March 27th, and then do you want to take the Living Remain and on from there? So starting it, we have Path to Fury Episode 1, Tetsu's Tower, coming out March 12th on MetaQuest. Immerok, I'm so excited for this one, coming out March 13th on Quest Pro and Quest 3, since mixed reality is a huge aspect of it, no Quest 2. Mythic Realms, shout out to Worcester, Mass-based studio, coming out March 13th on the MetaQuest. Game name that you love, Balls to the Wall, coming out March 14th on the MetaQuest. Dig VR, shout out to Ruff Talk friend Ben. Dig VR coming out March 20th to PC VR and PSVR 2. Sport Vita Cyber Dash, I know you're excited for that one. Comes out March 20th on PC VR and Quest. Electrician Simulator VR, which was getting great puns in our Discord. Coming out March 21st, first only to PC VR and PSVR 2. Boxed Out, coming March 24th to the MetaQuest. And then Hitman World of Assassination, coming March 27th to PC VR and PSVR 2, unrelated to last year's disastrous Hitman launch in VR.
It was not a hit. The Living Remain.
It was not a hit, man.
The Living Remain coming March 27th, PC VR and Quest. Tran Sim World, as discussed earlier. VR New York coming March 27th. Yay, on Quest. Wanderer, I know you're stoked. The Fragments of Fate, confirmed March 27th. PSVR 2, I believe it too, and Quest. Hellsplit Arena, March 25th on Quest. Nyctophobia, March of 2025. So within the next 2-3 weeks, PC VR. Paracodo, March 2025, PC VR. If I have said March 25th on any of these and they weren't, it's only because
it says March 2025 and you're saying yes.
Premier League Player, March 2025 on Pico. Nice move. Stratagun, March 2025, PC VR, and Wet VR, as discussed numerously, March 2025 on PC VR.
Woo! So, we did it.
Stacked month.
Great show, stacked episode between this interview and then all of the news. Stay tuned for another interview later this week that we're going to record in a moment. Henceforth, our speed to wrap this baby up. If you enjoy the show, as always, subscribe, rate us 5 stars. Check us out on your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us there.
Fun week, man.
Stay tuned.
Tomorrow's exciting.
Yes. Smash the like button on YouTube. Comment. Check out the VR game showcase tomorrow. Bunch of great stuff coming out as well. Stay tuned for the Ruff Talk VR gaming showcase, April 4th, 1 p.m. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Ciao, ciao.